Let's go to Tom, see what he thinks about this. Tom, of all the things you own that may have some either sentimental or monetary value, what is something that you would be unwilling to part with for any amount of money that could be sports-related or just personal-related?
Well, hey, guys. My wife refers to me as a collector, but it's of esoteric stuff that doesn't mean a whole lot, probably. Now, when I was younger in my career, I had a cork board, and every credential, that I got from going to games, and I was covering Louisiana Tech and Grambling back then. So, I covered Eddie Robinson's 400th win. I covered his when he passed Bear Bryant game, or I was around at that time, and concert tickets and Major League Baseball stubs. So I have a huge collection of those that I don't know if it would have any value, like you were saying. I'm not sure what the value of it would be, but it means a lot to me.
Tom, you're kind of like me in the collection. Is there any one of those tickets specifically that means more than the others? I'd have to go through and kind of look at my credentials and tickets because we do the same thing. But is there one that you harbor and would save before, let's say your house was burning down, you went straight to that? Would you grab something specific?
There's a couple of things. On my birthday in '84, Bob Watson, who became the czar of baseball punishment, was playing for the Braves, and a pitcher named Warren Brewster for the Cubs threw him a pitch, and he fouled it, and it came right to me. And it hit my hand. It was a cold night, actually, and it hit my hand, and my brother caught it. And he had no idea it had deflected off me. He thought he just caught it. But we kept that ball, and that would have been cool if I had gotten Bob Watson to sign it or something, but that never happened. And then I saw Paul McCartney in concert in Tulsa on my birthday 9 years ago, and that was a tremendous lifetime deal that the whole family went, and we enjoyed seeing Sir Paul play for 3 hours. Groups don't do that a whole lot anymore. Just one act going for 3 hours. So he's a phenomenon.
They're all getting old, Tom. It's not that they don't want to; they just can't anymore. Go for 3 hours. That's the problem. Well, speaking of collectors of credentials and things, you'll get one next Monday in Atlanta as SEC Media Days begins a week from today. We'll all be there, kind of kicking off college football season. We were talking earlier about Greg Sankey, and I don't know if he had to rewrite his address with all this expansion, whether that's going to be the focal point. What do you think when Monday rolls around, and that's sometimes or usually the highlight of the first day is what Greg Sankey has to say as commissioner of the league to kick the event off. What will, in your opinion, be some of the things that he will highlight and talk about in his what's usually 45-minute or so address?
Yeah, well, he's a quite astute man, and he's a workout fiend. I think he runs every day, and to kick off last year, he had the times they are changing because he knew that the news on Oklahoma and Texas was probably going to come out within days, or certainly within weeks, and lo and behold, it came out a day or two later. So that was foreshadowing on his part, and I don't doubt that he will address the evolving state of college athletics, because in a way, it's like the universe. It continues to pull, grow, and college athletics is the same. And it's in some ways it's disconcerting for guys like you and me, Tommy, that with the NIL added and what goes from there. We have people talking about forming unions, and then when there's unions, then all kind of other issues come into play, including government oversight and do we really want that? So I don't mean to, branch out into a ton of topics here, but I'm sure he's going to address perhaps the future of SEC and what the UCLA and USC move means. I don't like it at all. I wasn't a fan of the SEC going to 14 teams, but call me an old fuddy-duddy. I don't know how that helps what college football is supposed to be about. UCLA going to visit Iowa in November, and they're not used to that. Is their fan base going to travel? So I'm sure he'll touch on numerous topics and talk about the health of the SEC.
Tom, I'm still a believer we're going to see a day where you play in one conference against one collection of teams in football, and then you're more regionally or geographically based in all your other sports. And I don't know when that comes, if football becomes its own entity, its own division. But I think just what you said, UCLA going to Rutgers for a basketball game, whether it's a Saturday or Thursday or a Wednesday, doesn't matter. It's still a heck of a trip. I think that at some point common sense will prevail, and maybe in football we do these things, but in basketball and in baseball and volleyball and just go down the list of all the other sports, that's not going to fly. Can you see a world where you play one group of teams in football and a whole different set, or a much different set at least in the other sports?
Well, that's some good thinking, Tommy, and I think it's a pretty valid point. And from a financial standpoint, sending your entire softball team way across the country, and they're obviously going to have to pair it up in basketball where they play two teams on one road trip, or possibly even more. I don't know, but does that benefit the athlete, the student athlete trying to get a degree? Mm-hmm. Very arguable point there. And I think that college administrators are going to have to really think in different ways. And your point's a good one, that perhaps that type of scheduling will have to be a part of it in the future.
Talking with Tom Murphy, Arkansas Democrat-Gazette, Whole Hog Sports this morning. Tom, coming up in the 8 o'clock hour, we're going to ask our listeners kind of what SEC storylines stand out. You listed a few of them kind of within the inner workings of college football, but when you look ahead to this actual year, what do you think some things outside of Arkansas that you're going to be monitoring within this league?
Yeah, can anybody break through the kind of the Alabama, Georgia at the top of each division, dynamic? Because when you think of the recent winners in the West, LSU's fallen off a little. Can they get it back going quickly under Kelly? Can anybody challenge Georgia? And y'all, I was going through my digital recorder the other day, and I came across the day after Nick Saban's comments at that dinner or banquet, wherever he spoke those, and Jimbo Fisher meeting the media. That is scorched earth. I taped the whole thing, and when you listen to the whole thing, it's, you can say, oh, we're on good terms now, or, Commissioner Sankey calls both guys and say, look, this is not productive for the league. Y'all got to keep this stuff behind closed doors. That doesn't matter. They might not say anything at media days, but you don't those are words that are as harsh and as scorched earth as you could possibly hear from one coach to another. And I know he was defending his program, but I just wonder how much that topic's going to be brought up with both guys out here.
Yeah, and with YouTube, those things never go away. with the social media world, they're always a quick Google search away from finding that. And you're right, Tom. I think it will be almost naive to think that next week somebody on a radio show somewhere isn't playing those. It may not pop up on the SEC network coverage, but those words are going to get relived in College Station or maybe even Birmingham next week as we get back to the business of SEC football.
Oh, there's no question. I mean, and obviously these are two teams whose fan bases and their coaches believe they ought to be on the top of the SEC West, and so it's big boy football. But when you say, like Jimbo Fisher did, ask any coach who's coached with him and things like how he does things, and you guys, people think he walks on water. I mean, that is some real inflammatory remarks there.
Yeah.
There's only a handful of coaches that have had success against Nick Saban in this league, and by success, I mean won probably 2 or more games. Gus Malzahn no longer in the league. Hugh Freeze no longer in the league. Is Jimbo Fisher, of anyone, I know Kirby Smart has a win against him as well, is Jimbo Fisher that next coach to beat Nick Saban twice while still in this conference, or would you say it's going to be Kirby?
Yeah, I would lean more toward Kirby on that, although they wouldn't play every year, although it could be in the SEC championship game. But, it's funny, of all the years that A&M has challenged Alabama, they did it with Johnny Manziel in that freakish game back in 12 or whatever year that was. But for last year, for them to do it was, a relatively unsettled quarterback situation. I mean, Calzada didn't work out. Calzada made numerous bad decisions in the Arkansas game. I thought he should have run it several times when he threw incomplete passes. But to win that game, they were so stoked. And we happened to be listening to it on the way back from a drive. So we were in far eastern Arkansas and in western Mississippi listening to that game going, wow, can A&M keep this up? And it was just remarkable. I think they got a kickoff return for a touchdown and things like that. But the talent they're accruing there certainly speaks to the fact that you can go toe-to-toe with Alabama. And he proved last year that, a tight game, defensively they gave Young some problems. And so I wouldn't give them a 50-50 shot to win the game in Tuscaloosa this year, but they certainly could stay on the field with him, so to speak. And Jimbo certainly knows his knows Saban's style. But I have a feeling that Nick Saban is going to have his team up for this game this year.
Are they the most likely team, not named Bama, not named Georgia, to be in the championship game back in Atlanta? Is that A&M, or is there another team that you think could can make a run in the West, or a team in the East that could remove Georgia from there?
I would probably lean towards saying, yeah, they might be the most likely. You see a lot of people, dark horse picking Arkansas to finish number 2, and I think people view Arkansas and Tennessee maybe in the same kind of mold, that maybe they have their coach, they have a dynamic quarterback returning, and a productive offense. So, I wouldn't count out either of those two teams. And, Florida will be a real interesting puzzler this year. Can they be instantly productive? Florida and LSU are similar in that regard. Traditionally pretty strong programs that have won national championships in the last decade or two, and have had coaching changes, but plenty of talent on hand. So those two will be the real interesting entries on both sides.
All right. Well, Tom, it'll be interesting next week. We'll get to see you in person, get to have a live chat, and it'll all be fun at the College Football Hall of Fame.
Yeah, you know what? That will be great. Back to the hometown, hot baseball team now. I think we've won 6 out of 7. And I did fail to mention Kentucky. And I don't think Mark Stoops gets enough credit for how solid that program is. I thought Arkansas should have been maybe picked a slot ahead of them in the bowl picture last year because of difficulty of schedule, but it didn't happen, and I was happy for Kentucky to have a 10-win season.
What's the one local yokel spot there that Ty and Drew need to check out next week for some eats?
Tommy, I can't even name it. I mean, you're talking about downtown, which I haven't been to, in years and years. Since the last one there in 2018, and I don't remember where I ate. I know I ate at a Chick-fil-A. How about that?
They have those in Atlanta? I guess they also have Coca-Cola there too, right?
Yeah, they do. And, I'll probably go out and explore a little bit more this time, more than we did last time. We stayed at a boutique hotel right across from CNN. It's called The Glen. And it was pretty new then, and we had got great rates. But now it's more than $200 a night, so we couldn't stay there. So we'll have a little bit of a hike to get there. So we'll explore some local restaurants, and I'll report back.
All right, we'll talk to you Thursday this week. Then we're off to Atlanta for SEC Media Days. Tom, have a good one, and we'll talk to you on Thursday.
Sounds great. See y'all.
All right, Tom Murphy with us here on a Hot Take
Partners
Monday.
at BetOnline continue to be the #1 source for all your betting needs and sports info. Find all the latest odds, news, and sports developments, including this year's Wimbledon Finals, Major League Baseball, the latest fighting news, and even next season's early NFL futures. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use our promo code BLEAV. That's BLEAV to get the bonus and get into the action. Bet online, where the game starts.